Are you confused by adding alerts in SwiftUI? Well, I was also, but with the help of ALERTKIT, I have managed to add alerts and action sheets into my SwiftUI apps with one single line of code. So if you're interested in adding alerts, make sure to hit that subscribe button, open up Xcode, and let's dive in. So let's demystify alerts in SwiftUI, and while we are at it, let's do the same for action sheets. Before we dive in, let me just remind you about Dev Factory Coding Accelerator. I help you with your coding projects or your bug fixes in a Zoom call. Go ahead and check it out, rebeloper.com/mentoring. Okay, so what are we going to build out today? Well, we are going to have some buttons and we are going to present some alerts on them. So let's just start off with a brand new Xcode project. Let's create a new one. Let me just resize this so you can see better first. There we go. Select app, next, and I will name this ALERTKIT example. Okay, make sure that the interface is SwiftUI and the lifecycle SwiftUI app. Okay, let's choose next. And let's just drop this onto the desktop. And I will create a Git repository so you can take a look at it later on my GitHub repos, and make sure to check them out in the description link below. Okay, let's hit create here. And yeah, basically that's it. Let me just remove this. I don't need a canvas. And here we have our hello world. And let me just remove this and add a simple button. There we go, a button. And yeah, let's just use this star. So a button with some text in it. Okay, so this is a plain old button, and let me just move this out of the way. So if you just run this on the simulator, you will see that there's a show alert button on the center of the screen. Let's just wait for this to build. I'd really like to launch this on the very first launch, so on the next ones it will be much faster. Okay, so how do we actually make an alert? I'm going to show you how you can do it in plain old SwiftUI and kind of the problems with that. And then we are going to take a look at ALERTKIT, a GitHub repository that I created that makes your life easier, well, in terms of displaying alerts and action sheets. Okay, so what we would do in SwiftUI is just, first of all, just create a state variable for our alert state. So let's just add in here a new state variable var is presented, and that will be false by default. Okay, so next up we want to add an actual alert on the views as a modifier. Now this could be added on the stack view or whatever. I'm just going to add it onto our button here. So alert, and you can choose item or content. I really like the is presented one because it's much easier to understand. So let's choose alert is presented, and we are going to bind is presented, like the state variable, to that alert. So what we need to do is go $is presented. Okay, the content, well, the content needs to be an alert actually. So let's just go alert. And yeah, we could just use title, message, dismiss, and message primary button, secondary button. We are going to talk about what this actually means. But for now, let's just use the simple title, and I will go alert. Okay, and basically that's it. Let's see. Oh, we need a text here. So if you are not accustomed to SwiftUI, then you would just add in here a string. But yeah, you need an actual text view here. Okay, so that's that. How do we actually present that alert? Well, we want to set the is presented, its value to be true. So is presented equals true. Now we could toggle it, but yeah, I'd really like to make this as true because that's how we just present it. So let's build and run, and yeah, you will see an alert popping up. So let me just tap here and alert. Okay, really nice. Now, what is the problem here? Well, first of all, it's kind of cumbersome. You have to have this alert modifier on your button or on your VStack, and if you have more alerts, yeah, as you can see, this is just a simple title alert. You might want to have an alert for errors that might occur or something else with a primary, secondary, or God forbid you want to have an action sheet, because yeah, alerts only have either a dismiss button or two buttons, a primary or secondary. If you do want to have more buttons on your alert, then you want to have an action sheet. So yeah, that's, and of course it's going to be used as a modifier also. But furthermore, we also have this state variable. Okay, if you're learning SwiftUI, state variable is okay. But yeah, you kind of bloat your content view, your actual view here with all of these state variables. Now, one way to combat this is, and I really, really recommend this, is to have a content view model. So let's create that. Usually you would create this in another file, but I'm just going to add it right over here. And yeah, I usually do this, like I'm just going to write our content view, and once I add in a few elements there, I just move it onto a separate file. So content view model, and that will be an observable object. Okay, what you want to do is, instead of the state property wrapper, you want to use the published property wrapper. Oh, I didn't published. Let's choose that one. Okay, so now the observable object has a published variable, meaning that we can listen to it. And yeah, SwiftUI is listening to its changes. So how to modify this? First of all, let's delete this state variable, and let's add in here a state object. Now, state objects are available as of iOS 14, and they are kind of, think of it as the state version of classes. Okay, so content view model is a class, an observable object, so you want to have a state object. Now, you might recall that there is also an observed object. Now, if you do want to move this observed object as a state object, you want to move it onto a sub view, then you want to state it on that sub view as an observed object. Okay, this is something new in iOS 14. So state object var view model equals, and let's initialize our content view model. Okay, so now we have our view model, and now we just add it onto that is presented. There we go. So now it's kind of okay, because if we have more than one alert, we can just pop this up onto the content view and just use the view model. So that's okay, but I'm still I don't really like this alert modifier. I don't really like it as a modifier. I want to have it as a separate thing in my views. So here comes AlertKit to the rescue. So AlertKit is a GitHub repository that I have created, and you can just add it as an SPM, so Swift package. And yeah, you just go to github.com/rebeloper/alertkit, and let's just add it as a Swift package. And let me just show you how easy it is to show alerts. Okay, let's just go here, Swift packages. Let's just click on the plus sign, paste it in there, click on next, and let's just wait for this. Now, the current version is 0.1.0. If you are not using, so you are using this in the future, which you will, and you might see some other versions here, then go ahead and leave it as 0.1.0. Otherwise, take a look at the README file. Yeah, I might change some things, I might improve some things, but yeah, this is really, really cool as it is right now. Okay, so let's just wait for it. And what you need to know here is, first thing first, you have to import AlertKit. So let's just go back into our content view. So there are 3 steps here, what you want to do. First of all, let's import AlertKit. Second of all, you want to create a state object for our alert manager. So at state object var alert manager. That will be an alert manager. Okay, we need to initialize it. And finally, we are going to call a alert manager. So what we are going to do, let me just comment this out and add a new button. So button, let's see here. So tap me, and here we will have our action. Now, finally, well, this is the first step, is just go uses, and as you can see, we have this alert manager, so we are just going to add in our alert manager. So that is all to it. Now we could just add this to simple VStack or whatever. Just make sure that you have uses alert manager there. So tap me, alert manager, show, and as you can see, there are quite a few. So we can have show dismiss, show primary secondary, or show action sheet. And let's just go through them one by one. Show dismiss. This means that the alert will have only one button that will dismiss the alert. Of course, you can have simple like alert buttons that may trigger another action, but yeah, you could just have one button on the dismiss. So here we have our alert item dismiss, and let's just tap a dot here, and here are some values that you could use, be it a custom title message dismiss button. Now you have this title message primary secondary button also available, but make sure that you are using only the dismiss button one. This will not work if you are using the primary, of course, on the appropriate one. Now I have created some predefined alerts because most of the time you want to show an alert or an info or a warning. So here we have error with the title message and dismiss button. Now error has the title and the dismiss button already configured, so all you have to do if you do want to have this is just add the message. Here we have for the primary secondary, of course, info, and there's also success. Yeah, most of the time you want to say, okay, fetch was successful or something like that. And we have some warning. So let me just go with the custom because that's the most interesting one. So custom title, message, and dismiss button. The custom, you have to add all three, and of course on the primary, secondary, all four. So the title, ALERTKIT alert. Okay, the message, let's just say hello there. And the dismiss button. Now this is interesting. This is an alert dot button, and it's optional. You don't want to. You don't have to include it. But this is SwiftUI's alert button. So you could just go and add a dot here, and let's go with default, destructive, or whatever. I'm just going to go with the default label. As you can see, we can also add the action there, but default, and let's go with the text of okay. Okay, so let's just build and run and see how this works. So tap me, and I'm going to tap ALERTKIT alert. Hello there. How awesome is that? Okay, so that's the dismiss type of alert that we can show. Let me just show you real quickly how to add the primary and secondary type of alert. So alert manager dot show, and let's just select now primary and secondary, and again we have an alert item primary secondary, so let's add in here a dot, and this time let me just show you maybe an error. So error, and now I'm going to select error, title, message, primary button, and secondary button. Okay. If you recall, you don't really have to have a title for the error, only a message. So let's just add in here something went wrong. And let's just delete the title. Now what you want to do is add the primary button and the secondary button. Now these are two buttons, and let's just add for the primary, let's say a destructive, with just a label, so text, and let's say OK. And the secondary button, let's have a console button, a simple console button. Okay, so let's just build and run and see how this looks. As you can see, these buttons are really nice to have. Okay, error, something went wrong. We can either tap OK or console. Okay, so finally, if you do want to have more than 2 buttons, so no dismiss button, no 2 buttons, primary, secondary, you want to have 3 buttons. So for that, you want to use an action sheet. So alert manager, show, and here it is, show action sheet. And what we want to have here is an action sheet. Now, this is only for title, message, and buttons. There aren't any predefined kind of ways of showing the title or the message. You want to provide the title and the message and the buttons. As you can see, there are, it's plural, more than 1 button. So custom, and let's see, ALERTKIT action sheet. There we go. And a message, more than 2 buttons here. And yeah, so we want to have an array of alert buttons. So let's just create them. So let buttons, let's have here an array, and let's create our first one. So alert dot button dot, let's have this as maybe a default. Let's have a default with an action. So text, maybe retry, and the action, well, I'm not going to present this again, but maybe we could just have, let's just have a fetch data function here. And I will just create that function right over here. So fetch data. Oh, we need to create a func. Okay, so that's that. So we are going to fetch the data. Let's see, fetch data. Great. Now that's the first one. Then let's just go alert dot button dot, let's just go with the destructive, and I'm just going to go and abort. So text, okay, and maybe let's just add a console button here. So alert button console, let's have it with a dummy text here. So text, not a dummy, but not just a plain old console button. Let's go back or something like that. Yeah, it doesn't really matter here. So buttons, let's just add those buttons right over here. Okay, so let's build and run. And let's just tab there. And as you can see, we have the title, message, we can retry, we can abort, and the back is the console button, which is kind of set right over here, and it is walled. Okay. So, being that said, you might want to show an alert not on a tap of a button. You might want to fetch some data from the web, and yeah, you want to display an error if something goes wrong. So to do that, let me just go ahead and check out the really quick the documentation here, and I'm just going to go ahead and copy this content view models function fetch data. Well, basically what this does, and I'm just going to paste it in there, and we can get rid of this is presented published. Okay, so what this does, let's just hit Control I here. What this does is goes on the background for 4 seconds, and after that comes back to the main thread, and it returns a completion of false. So yeah, let's just render this. You can either have success value, completion of failure, or true or false. Yeah, these are the 3 types of results that we can get here. So fetch data is going to be added here, and let's just go view model and fetch data. And as you can see here, we have our result for the completion result. Oh, result. There we go. And let's just go through the result type here and basically finished. Is it finished? That's what we are going to have here. Let's take care of the error first. So alert manager show, and on the alert you just want to have one dismiss button. So I'm just going to have here error and no title. So let's just remove that. And message, error localized description, and no dismiss button. I will just use the default one. So that's for the error. As you can see, it's really compact and short. Now for the finished, if finished, so if we have finished, then we want to go alert manager and show a success. So show, again, a dismiss button and success. And again, I'm just going to omit the title. And on the message, I'm just going to go finished. Okay, and no dismiss button. That will be a default OK button. Now, if we didn't finish, else, we just go and create, let's just create a primary secondary button and let it be a custom one. Okay, title, let's say warning, and message, something went wrong. Okay, primary button. So the primary button, let's just use again this action. I just add it in there for the retry, and we are going to fetch the data, and the secondary button is just a cancel button. Okay, that should be it. Okay, typos there. Okay, so let's fetch our data, not on just tapping on this retry button, but whenever this view loads. So on load, or rather on appear, on appear perform, and let's just fetch our data. Let's see how this works. Okay, let's build and run. Again, this will wait for 4 seconds, and then it will give us back currently the false success. So there we go. Warning, something went wrong. So we can take a look at that. So it's this one. And we can retry. So that will retry again. And after 4 seconds, we will see that again. So we could just go and tap on cancel. And if you do want to check out these other 2 alerts, go ahead and just uncomment either of these commented in completions. Now, that is it, how simple you can use alerts in SwiftUI. And of course, with the help of ALERTKIT. Showing alerts and action sheets in SwiftUI with one single line of code. Now, how awesome is that? This was the last episode in our series for this year, but make sure to hit that notification bell and subscribe if you haven't done so, because next year I'm going to talk a lot more about SwiftUI. Now, I would like to thank you all for subscribing, liking, and hitting the notification bell. And as usual, I will see you next year.